And I would never sit here and act like I am, Miss Perfect, that I haven't had these things, that I haven't done these things. We can understand that we don't have to be comparing ourselves to whoever it is. And that includes our co-wife, because when we get into that comparison mode, it messes up our marriage, because now we're no longer in our lane. We're veering in somebody else's lane. We're over there not minding our marriage.
Warning, what you're about to hear may challenge your beliefs, confront your excuses, and expose where your frame may be weak. Good, because comfort doesn't build leaders. Truth doesn't follow trends, and legacy was never meant for the crowd. Our content is made for men and women who value truth over trends, structure and substance over style, and legacy over likes. If that speaks to you, welcome to Outstanding Personal Relationships. I'm Coach Nazir. Let's get it.
Assalamu alaikum, peace. Is Coach Nyla, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as co-author of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. And in this video, I'm going to get into signs that you are in comparison mode. I got to have my notes. I'm feeling like Jennifer Hudson. If those who know, where I was like, you know what? If they have like cards and notes and everything like that, even though they're interviewing people, why can't I? I'm not going to pretend like I can remember everything that I want to say off the top of my head. And sometimes I get distracted. But I do want to get into this because it's very important that we know what these signs look like. It's very important that we know what the signs are, as well as what to do when we feel those things. And it's up to us. Okay, so I'm reading this book called The Courage to Be Disliked, or something like the courage of being disliked, or the courage to be disliked, or something on the lines of that. And I'm such a psychology nerd that I enjoy books like that, and books that are like, why do we behave the way we do, or why do we do the things we do, and everything like that. I've been like that since I was a kid. So one of the things the book talks about, it goes into the Adlerian psychology, and it's different from the Freudian psychology. And the Adler, and I'm getting real nerdy right here, but when it all comes down to it, it goes into pretty much like we're responsible for the things that, not the things that happen to us, but how we deal with the things that happen to us. So it's not that we don't have trauma. It's like, what do we do with the trauma that we've had in our lives? How do we operate with it? Because you can have a person that has a type of trauma that another person has had, and for some reason, someone is being very successful with it, and then, or despite it, I guess I should say. And then there's the other person is in the dumps, or can unalive themselves, or just can't take it anymore, So when it all comes down to it, we have our own choices. So we can have a choice to be in comparison mode. We have that choice. And I know that's not going to sit well with a number of us that, watch this. As we stated before, some of the things that we say on this channel is going to ruffle some feathers, but it will cause you to think. It will cause you to, it will cause conversation. And even if that's a conversation with yourself, so be it. That's great, So I'm going to, like I said, my notes, signs that you're in comparison mode. One, you seem to have to one up, the person who you are trying to compare yourself to. And a lot of times we're going to go into co-wife comparison. And co-wife relationships in polygyny, because for some reason it is put out there that that's kind of what you have to do. You are supposed to compare. You're supposed to not like each other. It's supposed to be some type of rivalry, so to speak. And that is not conducive of a healthy family. That's not conducive of a growth mindset. And we are responsible for our own growth, or our own demise, downfall, or whatever the case may be, regardless of what has happened to us. I'm of the firm belief of that psychology. So when you're trying to level up, or not level up, leveling up is fine. When you're trying to one up, your co-wife, then you're in comparison mode. And why are you doing that? You have to ask yourself, well, why do I feel I have to one up her? So when she says something, it'll be like, and me too, or I did this instead, or this is what, I did. Like, anything you can do, I can do better. Anything you could, whatever, I can do anything better than you, type of thing. So if you find yourself, because sometimes we can just do it without even realizing it, where we're like, well, you know what, I did that. Oh, that's nice that you did that, but this is what I did. Or even doesn't even have to go as clear as this is what I did. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice. And I remember when I da 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 da. So instead of them letting them have their moment, allowing them to share their story and have their moment, you have to put in what you did. Whether it's something that's a lot better, or you perceive that is better, or anything that you just couldn't just let them have, quote unquote, the spotlight. So if you find yourself doing those things, the main thing is asking yourself, why am I doing that? Do I feel like I have to be in the spotlight? Do I feel inferior? Do I have this inferiority complex and the superiority complex? These type of things. I'm gonna get into that too, because it talks about that a lot in the book. Well, it gives a good point about the pursuit of superiority, the let me see, it's the pursuit of superiority, the feelings of inferiority, and then they talk about the complexes, the superiority complex and the inferiority complex, and they're not the same. Having a feeling of inferiority is not the same as the inferiority complex, and having the pursuit of superiority is not the same as having a superiority complex. And there are times when we can show that we have the superiority complex and it's masking feelings of inferiority or an inferiority complex. So the one thing is, when it goes into comparison, it's like, okay, why am I doing that? Why do I feel like I got to one up? Do I feel like, okay, well, I got to be so much better, or that I don't feel as good, but I need to point out some things that I did amazing, or that I did that was great, so I can sound better, instead of just allowing the moment to be the moment. So why are you doing that? If you are doing them, just saying these are certain things, or somebody's going to share this video with them, because sharing is caring. Number 2, you seem to have to find and point out their flaws. Oh man. Oh, I've seen that so many times, where if a person says something and he's like, yeah, but you did this. But remember that time? I've dealt with that. The crazy thing is, I have dealt with that even in my when I was growing up. So, my siblings would do certain things like that. And it goes into comparison. You get that from siblings as well. You get that growing up. You can't even get that from people who you thought were your friends. I had a friend who is no longer a friend of mine, and I had to understand, had to think about certain things that showed up so much that I was just so blinded to. And I think I was so blinded to it because I didn't want to see it. It's like, okay, this is my friend, we good, and she got my back on these certain things, but I also realized that she secretly was harboring some animosity or some problems with me, to the point where when I converted to Islam, her comment was, oh, I don't have to, I don't have to pretty much like compete against you, or something on the lines of that. I don't remember the exact words, but it was something on the lines of that. And I was like, wow, okay. I thought that it was us, kind of like me and you against the world type of thing. You were my ace, everything was all good, and we were cool. And when we were together, it's like we're just team. And I did not know that this whole time. But if I opened my eyes and really saw, I would have noticed certain things. It was certain things that had happened that, I should have known. I should have known. And we do that. We do that from time to time. So being able to point out when a person is pointing out your flaws, you can't say anything good, or they'll find some way to talk about you. Like, you make these little side comments. I've had that, like I said, I've had that happen even with this particular person, where it was like, we talked about like modeling and different things like that in the past. And she made a comment about the going natural part when I made a comment about doing that earlier in life or whatever. And she was like, well, that's not like attractive for the most part, or it's like, oh, people don't, in this type of field that we're trying to go into or whatever, that is not looked at as, you won't be picked for that, so to speak, if that's what you're trying to do, or certain things like that. Or she'd be like, you know what, I think that such and such would, you got to watch out because I think that they would win if you ever got into a fight, like all these crazy things like that. And I'm like, why are we even talking like that? However, like I said, the signs were there. Sometimes we pretend or we don't want to see the signs, and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this has happened. Or I never saw this coming. And it's just because we were either blinded by it or we really didn't want to see it. It wasn't that the signs weren't there, because it's only so long a person can fake the funk before it starts to stink. So anyway, and the third one, because I have four. I said the third one. So yeah, the third one, I have four of them. The third one, you seem to compare what you do versus what they do. So that's almost kind of the thing that I talked about in the first one, where it's like you try to one up, but it's more of like, comparing what they do versus what you do, where it's like, oh, such and such did this, but I would do this, or I wouldn't have done that. I would have did this instead, so it's like, of course you still have to put your side in it, but it's more of a comparing to make it almost sound like what they did was less than what you would do, trying to put yourself on the higher level. The crazy thing is I've had so many of these things happen to me, and then I'm looking and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I've been a victim of, or not a victim. I've been a person who's done that, to others too. Not, I wouldn't say the one up for the most part, because my thing is like, I just love I love people to win, so if we win together, that's great. But I notice I do comparisons, and I have done comparisons where I'm like, well, you know what? I wouldn't have done that, or, if, I guess you could do that. However, I would have done this better, or I would have done this way. And I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, this is like, why? Why did you say that? What was the purpose of that? Let them have, I heard a saying, it was like, let the baby have his bottle. I think that was like on The Simpsons or something, like years ago, like when I was a long time ago. And I was like, man, why? But I noticed that I got into those type of things, like feelings of inferiority around people. Like I felt like I had to prove myself. I had to prove that I was nice. I had to prove that I was smart. I had to prove that I was kind. I had to prove that I wasn't a threat. I had to like all these things. I felt like it was just improving mode, so to speak. And it made me feel inferior. And it's like, how do you work that? How do you show that, well, I'm not like this, or, hey, I'm competent. I can do this stuff too. And the good thing is that it goes into understanding your worth, focusing on that and working on yourself, working on improving yourself and staying in your lane and liking the things that you have about you, and understanding that other people are going to be who they are and they have their strengths as well. And that's fine. Once we learn to celebrate each other's strengths, we can understand that we don't have to be comparing ourselves to whoever it is. And that includes our co-wife, because when we get into that comparison mode, it messes up our marriage, because now we're no longer in our lane. We're veering in somebody else's lane. We're over there not minding our marriage. And it is part of that. I would say this is the M part of the frame spectrum, or the frame spectrum code, is that M part. The maturity is very important to improve on your maturity. And the maturity doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. It's like, how do I operate within these feelings? And can I acknowledge that I'm doing these things? And I would never sit here and act like I am, Miss Perfect, that I haven't had these things, that I haven't done these things. However, being able to say, you know what, I've done this, and that doesn't make it okay. and I need to get better, and I need to work on getting better. And so what is that? How do I do that? And that's the thing, being able to acknowledge that you've done it or that you're doing it and working on getting better, and knowing what those triggers are. And a lot of those things go into being able to work on yourself, being able to enjoy the things that you enjoy, and be able to genuinely be happy, or just at least being able to celebrate another person's successes. Because maybe it's something that you don't even want, or something that's going to come for you later or come to you later, because that's something you worked on. Our time is going to come for the things that are meant for us. And being in someone else's lane and trying to deal with their tasks is not beneficial to us. Okay. So then the last one is that you downplay what they have by stating why you don't have it, or why you don't want it. So that's that part where it's like, oh, well, I didn't want that anyway. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's good for you. And here's what I hear a lot. This is the phrase, and I'm not saying that this is the phrase that is used just to, as comparison mode and try to, downplay. But they say, oh, I'm happy, that makes me happy for you, or I'm happy for you. No, it's not, what is the word? It's I'm happy for you, but it's like, oh, I love that for you. That's it. I love that for you. And I say it, but I seriously, I love that for the person, but sometimes it can come off a little snippy, or a little, when somebody's like, oh, okay, yeah, I love that for you. Couldn't be me though. Like that's the thing. Or it's like, I didn't want that anyway. Or you know what? Oh, I remember. Oh, I saw that, but I didn't get it. I saw that at the store. Oh, I did that. Or, oh yeah, I knew that. It's like I knew that before you. But, or I saw that before you. I just didn't want it. Oh, that's cute though. My co-wife says, like, it's this nasty, nice thing, or this nice, nasty, or whatever, how you call it. I just call it rude and phony, because it's just what it is to me. Anyway, to me, that's what it is. However, being able to acknowledge those things, like I said, it is what it is. We got to sometimes call out things for what it is. I know that I am not the most liked. I've really come to terms with that. And it was so hard. It was so difficult, because I'm the person that, like, I am actually a nice person, like me, type of thing. And it caused me to do a lot of comparison. And it's like, well, maybe if I did this, or maybe if I did, or maybe, well, they like her so much. So maybe if I do, maybe if I could see, and I'm like, that's not me. I can't do certain things. I can't do what's not me. What you see is what you get. This is who I am. You may hear the country twang that come out sometimes. You may hear, just different types of accents, because that's just how I speak. I might stutter sometimes, or whatever it may be. There's certain things like, and whatever the case may be, and whatever the case may be. And that's kind of how I talk. My mom used to tease me, because I'll say, and stuff like that, and things like that, and stuff like that. But it's what it is. Like I said, when we can enjoy the differences in each other, or be able to get to know the people for who they are. And, like I said, some people they're for some people, and some people they're not. But when I got into getting the courage, oh my gosh, a good friend of mine, I talked to her today, and it was so nice, because she was like, I told her, I was like, you know what? I'm going to speak more and talk a little bit more about my story and my, side of different things, and what I went through in polygyny, and what I'm going through, growing through, with different things, because there are certain things that will come back to me, just because I realize, oh, okay, I haven't healed from these things, because I haven't allowed myself to do so. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to say more about that. And my thing is, I stopped telling people, or I didn't say much, because I'm like, people don't either want to hear it, or it's like I just didn't have the courage to do so, because just the fear of what would the people say, or what would the people think, because I've had so much of that allowed me to just fall back. She was like, no, I want you. She said, please be more courageous. Be courageous. Take the courage and do the things. And so the book, The Courage to Be Disliked, is a really good book. And it was really right on time for me being able to say, you know what people think about me is not my task. That's their task. My task is to be able to get the information out there, to share what I want to share what I need to share. And whoever takes it, that's on them. That's their task. Whoever don't, that's their task as well. No, that's none of my business for the most part. Like Tabitha Brown say, that's my business. So I hope you got some really good information from this video. And if you want to know where you are, I was talking about immaturity, like on the frames from the frame spectrum code. But if you want to know where you are on the spectrum levels with our C1 to C7, make sure you go to polygamyquiz.com and take the quiz. I tell people, and I'm a firm believer of, you don't know where you're going until you know where you are. So you need to know that, you need to know that if you want to grow, and it's very, that's the thing that we should have. That's the thing, like, okay, well, I want so much money in my bank account, or I want to do these things, but you don't know how much money is in your bank account right now. You're too scared to look, so it's like, how do you know how to get to this level if you don't even know what's there right now? So make sure you go to polygamyquiz.com, take the quiz, let us know, what you scored. If you comfortable with doing that, definitely let us know what you scored. But this is for you. This is for, your knowledge and your self-awareness, and being able to see, okay, well, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and this is how I'm going to take those steps in order to get there. And we are here to help you do that. So again, hope you have some great information from this video. Share it, because sharing is caring. I look forward to seeing you. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that other good stuff, because I want to hear your take on these different things. And if you guys have ever seen that book or read the book, let me know what you guys got out of it, because you guys are going to hear you're going to see a number of videos with me talking about it, because it has definitely opened my eyes to so many different things. So yeah, until next time, make sure you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. It's your Coach Nyla. I'll see you in the next one, inshallah, God willing. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.